the current Classic team owns, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like, I think everything that the Classic WoW team is doing is good. Straight up. The Ashen Veil thing isn't really that great for a lot of people, but overall, I think that they are making all of the right decisions. Outside of the WoW token, which was a horrible fucking decision, I think that every decision they made for Wrath of the Lich King has been good too. I think that they've actually, like, they kind of have an idea of what the fuck they're doing. Maybe they play the actual game.
Season of Discovery ends Phase 4 with Karazhan Crypts, but what about what comes before that? And then
Season Discovery ends Phase 4 with Karazhan Crypts. Who the fuck said that? I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. Now, there's a chance it could be true, and I think that, like, I mean, honestly, it probably will be true, but I don't know if it's going to end then.
The fun question of what comes after. Well, we all know that Season of Discovery has 4 phases, and that phase 1 is Black Fathom Deeps at level 25, as well as the Ashen Veil PvP zone for its PvP event.
Right.
It's our introduction to level up raids and new PvP event zones, letting Blizzard test the waters, dipping their toes in to see just what the Classic player base enjoys and just what it hates. And I think they've hit the nail on the head on how to properly release content and make changes to Season of Discovery because of the phase system. 4 to 12 weeks between each phase is a sweet spot for letting people enjoy content without getting bored. This system lets everyone share how they feel about a new experience, because every person you ask will have a wildly different answer to what is Classic Plus. So this is far more useful to Blizzard than
it's also like it can be kind of hard because, like, right now, for example, Warlocks are like insanely fucking good, right? They're like disgustingly good, but maybe at 40 they won't be as good because other classes will have tools to stop them.
1,000 voices yelling different
the
things.
drain is
so
nuts.
Black Fathom Deeps and the Ashen Veil PvP event zone are testing grounds for player reactions. When you keep that information in mind, it makes the remaining phases and schedule make a lot more sense. Phase 2 is Numeragon at level 40, and it's a dungeon that's massive, full of flavor, and still abandoned in retail, leaving the gnomes as homeless refugees for almost 2 decades. Just like Black Fathom Deeps, it's a large dungeon that can essentially be broken into different wings and be filled with bosses, events, and quests that just feel natural. And just how Phase 1 had a massive PvP event zone, Phase 2 will have one as well.
I think so.
It should, so long as the player base doesn't lose their collective minds and tear Ashen Veil down so hard that Blizzard cancels their plans. Warlords.
I think that people don't really like Ashen Veil. From like everybody that I've talked to, I haven't really heard anything positive about Ashen Veil. So yeah, like, I don't think they're probably going to do another one of those. I don't think they should. Like, if it's like, maybe they should try it again if they feel like really confident about it, but like, I don't think it's really a good place to invest your time into.
Of Draenor. And whilst BFD is in Ashen Veil, so is Warsong Gulch. So you'd think that Phase 2's PvP zone event should be in the Arathi Highlands or tied into Arathi Basin. But you'd be wrong, because Phase 2's PvP event zone is in Stranglethorn Vale. Honestly, it would be funnier if they kept PvP zone event in the zone of the dungeon, but how could they turn an alliance leveling zone into a PvP event zone? Are all dwarves and gnomes just being exiled to Elwynn Forest? No, that won't happen. But Stranglethorn Vale itself makes perfect sense. A highly contested PvP zone, and one that should have had a battleground from the get-go. I
think the problem that like World PvP has is that there's a lack of, like, I don't think Blizzard knows how to create objectives for World PvP that don't just turn the game into a min-maxed grind. Because, like, usually what happens, for example, like in Classic WoW, is that people would just farm AV. They would just do AV over and over and over again. Nobody would do PvP. Because the truth is that people usually participate in this content for the rewards. That's what they usually do. And after people stop getting the rewards from the content, most of the participation drops off. And I think that's really what the problem is that if you want to have people play PvP and enjoy it, you should make PvP an intrinsic design, an intrinsic goal to just simply be fun to play, rather than trying to get people to do it by motivating them through like gear or some sort of item. How? I don't know how. I think that, like, what I would like them to do for STV, like, this is just my guess, is just give you a weekly quest to kill 50 people in the zone. Kill 50 people that are of at least, you know, like, green level to you, and within, like, your level, and you just kill those people, and that's it. Like, that's probably the best way that I can think of. And I don't even know. No, please? Well, why not? Why do the quest? Well, I don't know. Like, have it give, like, honor or something like that. Minus honor for gray players? No, I don't really think so. Weekly scrub farm? Yeah, and like, again, I really just don't know how to incentivize it. Won't people just trade wins? Yeah, I mean, I think they probably could, or you'd have like 5-man groups going around and killing people. Like, so yeah, that could be a problem too. It happens in retail WoW. So it's like I don't really know how to incentivize MMO PvP other than just like letting it be what it is. Because I think the moment that you incentivize it and you try to drive gameplay, it contrives the entire system.
Likely expect a new reputation, a new quartermaster for some PvP loot down there, but we'll find out more in the coming weeks. Now, Phase 3 is where it gets spicy, but also still makes perfect sense since we have Scarlet Monastery, which comes with the level cap of 50, but it's also just north of a very conflicted and iconic battleground. That's right, Alterac Mountains and thus Alterac Valley.
AV,
with Scarlet Monastery being one of the most iconic dungeons because of Sally White, I mean because of badass Crusaders, and Alterac Valley being one of the most recognizable battlegrounds in World of Warcraft.
See, I actually think that AV is my favorite battleground. Like, I think AV, well, probably Isle of Conquest is, but it's like both like the 40-man battlegrounds. Like, I personally don't like playing battlegrounds in like a 10v10 or like a very small competitive like function. I think battlegrounds should be a battleground, right? It should be like, you know, like a skirmish in Lord of the Rings or something like that. Seeing like a, you know, 10v10, it just doesn't excite me that much. Maybe I'm weird, but that's what I think.
Perfect combination to throw out for Phase 3.
If I wanted that, I'd play another game
the level
like
cap of
League
50 and Scarlet Monastery being turned into a massive level up raid with new bosses, remastered bosses, new events, quests, and perhaps even a brand new reputation. Phase 3 is looking to be incredibly exciting. The PvP is just icing on that beautiful, delicious cake. And then that brings us to Phase 4 and the first new dungeon in Classic, Karazhan Crypts, a dungeon that was designed back in 2002 or 2003 and then abandoned because they ran out of time, before becoming the raid known as Karazhan and the Burning Crusade. We know nothing about Karazhan Crypts, and people will be making pure conjecture until it comes out, but I expect us to perhaps see original quest lines and ideas make it back into the game. It could be the...
I hope that they do like original quest lines and new content like that. I do worry that it could be done in a bad way, but I just want Blizzard to try. Just try and do it. See what happens. 10v10 allows for more tactics and more meaning. Allows for war fantasy and grander strategy. Both have value. Yeah, for sure. I just personally don't really care a lot about the tactics or anything like that. It's, you know, it's not really a competitive game. I don't view WoW as a competitive game. I think that's basically like what it comes down to. Like, I know some people play WoW competitively, but I just don't view it as a competitive game.
Start of an alternate timeline with ideas from vanilla making a frontline return. We will likely get a new reputation to grind, new quests, new items, and perhaps even instead of being a 10-man level up raid, we're looking at the first new 20-man or 40-man raid in Classic.
I want to see a 40-man. Yeah, like, dude, I think it's so badass whenever you get 40 people together and you're raiding with everybody. I think it's awesome. I know some people are like, oh, 40-mans are too big. Nah, dude, 40-mans are fucking awesome. You get all the boys together. Everybody's riding there on their mounts. Like, everybody gets their world buffs. Oh, it's fucking awesome. I love it. Should absolutely be 40-mans.
But PvE without PvP just isn't World of Warcraft, and thus the new PvP zone event for Phase 4 is also likely to be new content. Since Karazhan Crypts an abandoned and forgotten concept and ideas being brought back to life, so will, in my opinion, Azshara Crater, a completely new battleground dreamed back to life for Classic, as well as turning Azshara into a massive level 60 zone-wide PvP event zone. New reputations, quest lines, and much more are going to be given to us, and our dream is the limit, or in this case, the amount of risk Blizzard is willing to take. And thus, I conclude what I call the Season of Discovery introduction phases, which are amazing and incredible. Whilst we don't know exactly what we'll be getting, it's only the beginning of Season of Discovery because Blizzard has already said we're getting more content at level 60. And thus,
I think that's why I'm going to be really curious to see how they implement that content, man. I really do.
Introduce you all to the Season of Discovery endgame phases, which is phase 5 to 8. Now, you might think that 8 phases is a lot, but Classic, when it came out in 2019, had 6 phases, and that was re-releasing the original 6 raids. Now, this is what we call the educated guessing phase, where we have ideas and we know what they're going to do nominally, but despite knowing we're getting content, new and old, changes and more, we don't know what that is. So this is more of a wish list for content. So phase 5 is of course none other than Molten Core and the top 5 most iconic raids in World of Warcraft after Black Temple, Ulduar, ICC, and Siege of Orgrimmar. Don't crucify me for...
I think that we'll probably see the raids come out like pretty consecutively, like maybe a new raid every month or something like that. I don't really know. But what I really am looking forward to seeing is the actual, like, I think they should do the opening of the gates of AQ again, for example. I think that would be fucking awesome. And, like, it would just give people something cool to do.
Top 5 in the comments. Whilst Molten Core might not be the most iconic raid, Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker is the single most iconic in-game weapon from World of Warcraft, if you don't count Frostmourne or the Warglaives. We're looking at a remastered Molten Core, new bosses, mobs, quests, items, and perhaps even legendaries and reputations. A legendary that's already in the game but only one singular person got is the necklace back from vanilla, which got removed because it wasn't meant to be in the game.
Now, I think that would be really cool. Like, if, for example, like, the Talisman of Binding Shard, I remember this was like a, like old school, like, WoW legend item. And it would be really cool if, like, the first guild to clear Ragnaros got this item, like, on each server. So, like, you only had one item like this on each server. And it's like, it's really not that great of an item. Whenever you look at it, is this like a game-breaking item? No, it's not. I don't know. I just think having little cool things like that would be cool.
In the game. Now that necklace might not come back, but they already have legendaries they designed back then, which they could reincorporate into Season of Discovery. I'm not sure exactly how much they'll change Molten Core and with it Onyxia, but there will be changes. As for PvP, Blackrock Mountain is the single most cancerous PvP zone in the game. If you played on a PvP server, then you'll be having Vietnam flashbacks. So we know that Molten Core and Onyxia are coming, but what about new content? Allow me to introduce the new and improved Dire Maul or Blackrock Depths. These
BRD, I mean, if they make BRD into a raid, this is what I think that they should do for BRD, okay? I think what they should do is they should retune, you know how, like, whenever you go into BRD, there's, like, and I've said this before, there's, like, that, the door on the left that you have to open with the special key. I think that, you know the big, giant fucking golem that's guarding the giant door? I think they should completely retune him and make him a raid boss that's harder than Nefarian. And if you kill him, the door behind him opens. And that's the new raid. Or it leads to, like, a whole new area in BRD that has, like, new 40-man bosses. Because, like, that's how you make a game bigger, and that's how you make something cool like that. That would be fucking badass. Because, like, everybody always wondered back in the day, like, why is he guarding this door? Like, what's behind the door? Well, let's find out.
Two dungeons are massive, so massive in fact that in Cataclysm they got cut down and reshaped into multiple separate wings, and in BRD's case they just scrapped well over half of it. Either of these two dungeons make most sense as being a new 20-man raid or 10-man raid, and logically it makes sense because Blizzard stated that they wanted new players to be able to catch up easily phase to phase, so introducing more level 60 level up raids makes gearing a lot easier and allows transitioning into raids more easily, albeit
I don't know if you really need more level up raids or not. I think that honestly Molten Core is really easy. The reason why people aren't able to raid in Classic WoW, like, there's a couple of different reasons, right? Number one, they could be on a dead server. Like, this is a big problem, and I think it's something that Blizzard, like, if Blizzard allowed you to raid cross-server, I would be happy. I think that would be great. I don't like the idea that you can only play with people from your server. I think it's very harmful, and just in general, like, it might sound like a good idea, like, oh, yeah, it makes server communities, but what happens whenever somebody else's server community is dead? Right? You have somebody who, like, literally can't play the game because there's not enough people on their server. I don't think that's a good thing. It's a very, very bad thing. It hurts the game a lot. So I would like to see, free transfers, or shut down the realm, merge the realm, do something, right? Make sure that everybody has the ability to actually play with other people. Because, like, for example, like, there's a lot of Burning Crusade realms or Wrath realms now, that are just pretty much dead realms. So if you want to play the game and you're on this realm, you can get a free transfer to, like, maybe one other realm, but that's it.
I'm not sure if they'll focus all the effort into making the already existing raids better and more fun to interact with and keeping the...
And I think also another factor is they need to have an in-game group finder. And I don't mean like the looking for dungeon tool, but I just mean like a bulletin board that you can put up that can be accessed by players. And, like, I personally don't care, like, theoretically, if you had something like this, that you had to click on it in town in order to open it up. Like, it was like a adventurer's notice board or something like that. And the only way that you could use it is by going to it and clicking it, right? Because that would get more people to go into town. Like, kind of like, maybe that would be a good idea. Good for RP, bad for like functionality. Hard to really say which one's better. Maybe start with that, and then if it's too annoying, get rid of it, and then just make it a menu. But anyway, like having an adventurer's board where you can click on it and it says, these are the raids forming for Molten Core. These are the raids forming for MC. These are the raids forming for World PvP. And like you can find stuff to do by clicking on the adventurer's board, right? Maybe have it inside of Tavern, yeah, something like that. Like think about like how many like fantasy animes like are built off of that, right? Like Goblin Slayer, for example. So I think that again, it's a trope that a lot of people appreciate and really like. And I think also it's easy to implement into the game, and it just makes the game better in general. I think a big problem is that nobody wants to sit in trade chat all the time, or sit in looking for group chat all the time, spamming and like waiting for somebody else to start a Molten Core group. It's annoying and it's completely antiquated. Like there's no reason that you should have to do that. So yeah, I think that's what they should do, is make a bulletin board system, because the reason why I don't think players need catch-up raids. I think players need tools to play with other players. That's the main problem. And also, like, another thing, so fucking forgot. Another thing is that some specs were just garbage in Classic WoW. Like, if you're a Ret Paladin, I would never bring a Ret Paladin, unless it was like a friend of mine, to a raid. Because they're useless trash. They're garbage. Why would anybody want to play with that? Same with a Moonkin. Why would anybody bring a Moonkin? They're useless trash. Why bring something that's bad? It's like you can either bring a warrior that does twice as much damage, or you can bring a paladin. Why would you ever do that?
12 weeks long, so we get a lot of hyper-focused content and then new phases before we get bored. Or maybe phases 5 to 8 will be 6 months long each, with a storm of content to keep us all content. Nonetheless, phase 6 is Blackwing Lair and Zul'Gurub. Yeah. Two fun and interesting raids which will definitely get more quests, perhaps reputations, new mechanics, changes, and loot. The dungeons...
I really hope that Blizzard doesn't just make Season of Discovery harder. Like, I think if you want to tune up things for Molten Core and a couple of other raids, it's okay. But I really hope that Blizzard understands the reason why Classic WoW is so popular is because it's very easy. If you make the content hard, you alienate the people that the content is designed for. Like, Classic WoW was always a game of knowledge and skill, of knowledge and preparation, rather than skill and dexterity. It's too much. BFD difficulty is good? Yeah, BFD is fine. Kelris is not? Yeah, I think Kelris is too hard. Like, I think there's a lot of groups that are not going to be able to do him. Like, it's not really that bad, but it's really hard if you compare it to the other Classic WoW bosses. Kelris ain't that bad. I love whenever I hear this from people that are sitting at 1 a.m. watching a Twitch channel talk about World of Warcraft, thinking that you have any sort of idea what the average player is. I'm not talking about you. How many people beat Kelris this second lockout on like your first 3 tries? It's a joke, right? It's a joke boss and a joke raid that's free loot. Yeah, first try. Yeah, we did too. But that doesn't really mean that this is the average experience, does it?
Most likely to get changed with this phase of Temple of Atal Hakar for ZG and Blackrock Spire for Blackwing Lair, correlating nicely with each other. Also, Blackrock Mountain being a horrible war zone probably continues into phase 6. Maybe Stranglethorn Vale.
Yeah, making Blackrock Mountain a war PvP zone would be really cool.
As well at this point. But then again, perhaps this is an overload of content and I'm overestimating Blizzard's zeal, desire, and goals when it comes to Classic Season of Discovery. There is a lot that they could do here, so much in fact that this could...
I think that their goals will change based off of how many people play the game. Like, if a lot of people are playing Classic WoW and they're having a lot of fun with it, I think that Blizzard will invest more money and time into Classic WoW. And if they're not getting that out of it, and they're not really making any money off of it, and like, people are quitting, then I think they'll end it early. That's just what will logically make sense. Like, that's what I'd do if I was them, right? If like it's not hitting, then it's like, okay, we'll pack this up, let's try it again.
Usually be a 6-month content stretch between the 10-mans, 20-mans, and 40-mans. Let's move on though to phase 7, which is where I think we're going to see the most new content in the game. Scarab Lord is a very coveted title, and the Black Kiraji battle time.
Yeah, they 100% need to bring back the opening of the Gates of AQ. Abso-fucking-lutely, they should do this. They should do different events for like, for even like Nax and like BWL. I would love to have like open world events for like these different like raid releases, where like, let's say for example, you had like lieutenants of Nefarian that like on the opening of the opening of BWL, like leading up to it, like they would just like fly around Searing Gorge or or Burning Steps, right? And these are like level like unknown bosses, and you know you'd have to need like, I don't know, maybe like 40 people to kill one.
Rarest melt in the entire game. The opening of Ahn'Qiraj and the Scepter of the Shifting Sand questline is long, awesome, and genuinely a wild experience.
It's one of the best quest lines in the game.
Or he said.
So imagine the things they could do here, the things they could add. Imagine a massive zone-wide PvP event in Silphus where the Horde and Alliance battle it out for new PvP reputations and items. AQ40 and AQ20 are incredible raids full of awesome bosses, lore, mechanics, and loot, and I can't wait to see what Blizzard does here. Now, we aren't theory crafting if we don't think about new content, and with that, allow me to introduce Uldaman, the new 10-man dungeon and another location to gear with levels.
Uldaman in a dungeon, I think that, like, again, I want to see extensions of the existing dungeons, and I want to see them make the dungeons bigger. Like, what if after Uldaman, I don't know, like, if you killed Arcadeus, like, whatever the guy's, the last boss is, and, like, you kill him in under 1 minute, for example, the entire platform opens to, like, a giant spiral staircase, and you can go underneath Uldaman, and there's even more raid underneath it. That would be fucking insane. And that's the kind of stuff that they need to do, right? They need to have something that, like, makes you wonder, like, what is that next really big, crazy thing that's going to happen? Because I'm trying to think about, like, the best example that I can give of this is Algalon. Like, who here remembers the first time that, like, you saw Algalon or you opened up the gate yourself and you walked out into that area? It was fucking badass. And yeah, actual discovery, yeah, just put it out and don't tell anybody. Yeah, Algalon was really cool. Are there any other examples? Like, for example, I love the fact that you can go to Molten Core from BRD. I actually think that's one of the coolest things in Classic WoW. That, like, you can do, like, the whole lava run and everything, and, like, the way that it's designed. It is one of the coolest things Blizzard has ever done to this day.
60 gear so you can delve into the raids faster. Last but not least, Phase 8 and the dreaded Naxxramas, the so-called guild killer in vanilla and definitely guild killer in classic, as everything devolved into GDKPs and triggered hyperinflation. Naxxramas will likely get more loot, new quests, new bosses, new mechanics.
Well, the reason why Naxx was a guild killer is because it was hard. Like, there's really not a lot to it besides that. It was just a hard raid. Like, the numbers were high. It's not like Thaddeus is hard, but it's like if you do something wrong on Thaddeus, you're instantly dead. Which is, again, I think that's great design. I'm totally fine with that. I think that, like, a boss like Thaddeus is... I would rather do that type of a boss than the new bosses in Retail WoW. Because the bosses in Retail WoW, there's like 75 different mechanics. None of them kill you. But, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, if you get hit by 3 of them, you're dead. I find it to be very boring. Easy mechanics, but punishing? Yes.
And more. That's to be expected. But what else will change in Phase 8? Well, let me introduce you all to the new 20-man or 10-man raid Stratholme, one of the most iconic places in all of Warcraft and the beginning of the fall for our beloved Prince Arthas. Now, this is me wishing, but it could make sense, as once Eastern Plague lands into a massive PvP zone event, which is already supported by the towers situated across the zone, it would make a lot of sense to have more than just Naxxramas for the entirety of Phase 8, and the size of Stratholme already correlates to being a miniature raid anyways. Even if they only include a fraction of what...
If Strat was the raid, I mean, that would be really cool. I would like that a lot. Where's the assumption for more quests and things being added to existing raids coming from? Well, Blizzard clearly implied it. Like, I mean, they very, very heavily implied it. They're literally showing footage in their own trailer of things that were never released in Classic WoW. There is 100% a chance they're going to do this. It's not even a question.
I've spoken of, and even if they go absolutely a completely different path, the amount of content that Blizzard seems to be planning to add to Classic Plus Season of Discovery is staggering. And whilst all of this might not be in Season of Discovery, it will definitely be in Classic Plus. So whether Season of Discovery is Classic Plus or leads into Classic Plus, expect an obscene amount of content just from the end game phases. Now, this last section is going to be the shortest, but allow me to show you my terrible but somewhat decent guess to the final stretch. Okay. Welcome to Season of Discovery, Classic Plus phases. This section right here isn't going to have me...
Phase 11? Oh, bro, like, this is just some fucking... Bro, this is like some straight up, like copium fucking shit. Like, Mount Hyjal, Uldum, Grim Batol, Gilneas. Like, yeah, bro, like, this is... Yeah, 100% this is gonna happen. Yeah, tinfoil speculation, yeah.
What any of this will look like. This is just my guess of the content that's...
Man, this would be so fucking cool, wouldn't it be? This would be amazing. Mount Hyjal raid. I don't know. I think that at Mount Hyjal... Because wasn't Deathwing supposed to be in Mount Hyjal? Yeah, I don't know. They could do something with that.
Coming once they finish with existing content.
Yes, yeah.
No matter how reasonable a guess, everything is in the air based on player feedback and reactions through all the phases. If you want to see more from me, watch this video right here. And subscribe and like the video if you're depressed. If you're not depressed, like and subscribe anyways. Thank you, Ebonhard out.
Well, there it is. And so, like, that's kind of the way that I see a lot of it, too, is that I think that they'll use Season of Discovery as a testing ground for what they're really going to implement in a longer-term Classic Plus server. I don't know if, like, we're going to be using our Season of Discovery characters, like, 5 years from now, 3 years from now. I don't think that'll probably be the case. But I'm okay with that. Classic team is 10 people, by the way. Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't the PoE team 7 people? So I don't really think that means that they can't do anything. Like, I mean, what's that? Didn't one guy make what's this here, 8 people? Yeah, exactly. Valheim had 2. Yeah, like, I don't think that's really a big problem. Just make the game. It's going to split the community and dev work? Yeah, for sure it will. Grim Batol Ray to be sick, too. The current Classic team owns? Yeah, I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, I think everything that the Classic WoW team is doing is good. Straight up. Like, I'm happy with pretty much everything that they've done. Now, obviously, like, I don't really care a lot about PvP, so the Ashen Veil thing isn't really that great for a lot of people. But overall, I think that they are making all of the right decisions. And I think that also, outside of the WoW token, which was a horrible fucking decision, I think that every decision they made for Wrath of the Lich King has been good too. I think that they've actually, like, they kind of have an idea of what the fuck they're doing. Maybe they play the actual game. So we'll see. We have 4 versions of Classic, and that's insanely awesome. Yeah, exactly. Just need to update the antiquated server system. Exactly. Instead of a new raid, give us a dating simulator. WoW token ruined the game for me. Yeah, just stop playing, right? And also, like, the WoW token, I can see that, but let's be real. People were buying gold even before then. What really ruins the game is that Blizzard not banning those people. That's the real problem. But yeah, I think that more and more Blizzard is starting to realize that there's, like, in my opinion, I think there is way more potential in Classic WoW than there is in Retail WoW. Like, the ceiling for Classic WoW is way higher than Retail WoW. I probably think that now there are more people that are playing Retail, because Retail is like just, that's World of Warcraft, right? But Batik token normalized it. Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying, like there's like the way you feel about something and then the way it is. I'm just saying the way it is was still the same. Blizzard can do what, what's this here? Blizzard gonna do what the free-to-play games Dragonair did. I don't know what that is. Never thought I'd see a day where WoW was following OSRS's footsteps, but here we are. Yeah, I think that Classic WoW just has, like, a much larger future than Retail WoW does. Retail WoW has, like, its audience of people, and it has, like, a very dedicated player base, and Blizzard should just probably just keep making content for that player base. And then look at trying to make another big mainstream game like Classic WoW, make that for a wider audience. Is that even true? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would assume that more people play Retail WoW overall, but I think that if you were looking at, like, engagement, this is, like, my guess, okay? I don't really know this. I'm just making it up. But this is based off of everything that I see and read and just, like, my general opinion on things. I think this is Retail WoW. And I think also this is classic WoW. And eventually, classic WoW will be more popular. Based on what? Based off of excitement and engagement and the amount of people that are consuming content for it. And also just like based off of my own opinion about the game. Like, I'm going to be real. I think a big problem with retail WoW is the fact that you have 50,000 different FOMO mounts that nobody can get anymore. There's so many things in the game that it devalues everything in the game. It's over-designed. You need tons of add-ons in order to play the game. I think these are big, big problems. And like, again, this is my opinion, okay? Like, I don't have like data for this because Blizzard doesn't show data for it. But as somebody who's played the game for over 15 years, this is what I think about it, man. I think it's massively fucking over-designed. I think that, like, there's no way that a new player can get into retail WoW and really enjoy it. And sure, yeah, it happens sometimes, but the frequency of it happening, I bet, is way less than it used to be. And I think I hear a lot more people, like, actually, you know what? Let's do a poll. I want you guys to do a poll, and I really want you to answer honestly so I can understand, like, if I'm off base on this or not, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a straw poll here. We're going to create the poll. What game are you playing? Okay. Actually, if you started WoW in the last 3 years, which version did you start with? Okay. Classic. Era, SOD, Wrath, TBC. Okay. Actually, let's do 4 years. We'll include the original classic release too. And then retail WoW. Anytime. So, and then we'll add another option. I've been playing WoW for longer, or I do not play WoW. Okay. So that way, add in neither option? Yeah. And so, which one did you start with? Which version did you start with? Okay, here we go. All right, let's do the poll. Let's see what people say. Give me your honest votes. I want honest votes here. Honest votes. Okay. So a lot of people have just been playing the game for a long time. Yeah, I'll link it again. Only new people. Yeah, this is for new people. Yep, be honest. Yeah, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. If I'm right, then I'm right. It looks like Classic is higher than retail, but I also have cultivated an audience of people that play Classic a lot more because, you know, I've been streaming a lot of Classic content. So, like, there's kind of a selection bias with this, so I'm not really sure. Like, I don't think that this data is enough for me to conclusively say that my opinion is right. Yeah, I don't know. It's not enough. Did you react to Miz killing Emmy? Yes, I did. I did see it. It's an indication. Yeah. And the chat is classic biased all day. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, okay. If, like, it was, like, for example, like 70-30, then I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm right. But no, this is too close for me to call. I don't think so. But anyway, the point is that I think Classic WoW will grow a lot. And I think that the growth that Classic WoW will have a lot more longevity than the growth that retail WoW has. And here's the reason why. I think a big problem with gaming nowadays is that every single game that you play, you're only playing the season of the game. You're only playing like a period of time in the game. And if you stop playing and you come back, usually you're completely left behind. Because Classic WoW is a game that builds on itself and doesn't add a lot of catch-up mechanics, and like besides like maybe ZG or something like that, but there aren't really a lot of catch-up mechanics. And if you're level 60, you got 60 at the end of Phase 6 in Classic WoW, you will probably end up doing Molten Core or ZG. Like, you don't go directly into AQ40 or Nax. So, if you build those steps, like basically retail WoW, you go from step 1 to step 2, and then the patch comes out and you're back down at step 1 and you get back up to step 2 again. But in Classic WoW, you go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So like the process of time of like character gearing and character growth is way longer in Classic WoW. And that's what I like. For example, like if you're level 40 and you quit playing Classic WoW a year ago, you can come back right now and you're going to be right where you left off. There's still going to be people clearing Naxx that are way ahead of you, and there's still going to be people that are lower level than you. But it lasts longer whenever you get gear. Yeah, exactly. So because it takes longer, it's better? Yes, but not because it's longer, if that makes sense. So the reason why it's better is because it provides a more robust progression system. And there's something that's actually tiered out, and it's not created through artificial means. So there's not like a battle pass that's driving it. It's basically like the progression loop in Classic WoW, in my opinion, is more fulfilling. Because like in Retail WoW, I know that every single patch that I play, I'm building a castle on sand. I know that as soon as the new patch comes out, everything that I've worked for will be meaningless and it won't matter, and I'll replace all of it in no time. And a person that just came into the game will be able to do the exact same thing that I'm doing with relatively no friction. But in Classic WoW, if I'm in BWL, I know that whenever I come back, I'll be ready for AQ40. So I have like a desire at that current time to gear my character out to look forward to the future of AQ40. And in AQ40, I look forward to the future of Naxx. And here's what was so crazy about Vanilla WoW, is that in Vanilla WoW, you wanted to get Naxx gear because you could clear Karazhan in Naxx gear, and that's a level 70 raid. It was amazing. So like there's always a reason to progress, and there's never that reason to just wait. That's it. A realm reborn in WoW would mean no token, essentially modern Classic WoW. Yes. Like I'm very passionate about this, but like can you guys see kind of where I'm coming from here? Really think someone doesn't know anything about WoW would prefer playing a 20-year-old game instead of a new game? That's a really good question. I don't know because I don't talk to any new players. Yeah, I mean like yes and no, right? New players come into OSRS, but I think you bring up a very good point. You do. I really don't know. I think it is a big weakness. It definitely is. The gear treadmill will sooner or later happen in Classic, dude. Horizontal progression games always failed to get large player base. See Guild Wars 2. There's a reason why all popular games follow a seasonal mode. I think that like at a certain point, and this is an issue that Lost Ark has, at a certain point you do need a way for people to be like reset. Because you can't have progression from like, you can't have like a 10-year progression path. I think like maybe like a 2 or a 3-year progression path that then gets reset like an expansion is probably a good idea. Like that would be kind of where I would draw the line. Like this is, again, it's kind of arbitrary, but that's where I would draw the line. Like probably maybe 5 at the most. You should interview a new WoW fan. Yeah, it's just really hard to find somebody who's like that doesn't, already kind of know what's going on. Lost Ark treadmill was crazy. Well, Lost Ark had the fundamentals to be an incredible game. Because, like, you remember how fun Lost Ark was the first month of the game? It's like you do all the fucking the quests and everything. You get to level 50. You fight the Guardians. You do your tower. You do the first raid. You get the gear out of the first raid. You finally get up to, like, 600 gear level. I think that's what it was. And then you can do tier 2. You do tier 2 raids. You finish your tier 2 raids. The final capstone raid is your first 8-man raid against Poseidon under the fucking water. This is, like, super badass. You finish that, you finally go into tier 3 after you max out all of your gear, and like then you fight Argos, which to be fair is a fucking garbage boss, but then you fight Vultan, which is like an amazing boss. Then you do Vicus, you do Clown, you do fucking Belshazzar, and there's like so many other things that are like in between that. It was so fucking good, and they just killed the game with pay to win and time gaining, right? So like it's not really the game's fault, and also like having over punishing mechanics to make it to where people don't do carries. But the first month of Lost Ark was one of the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. And am I the only person that felt that way? I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Like, I had way more fun. The first month of Lost Ark was better than New World. It's better than Tower of Fantasy. It was probably not better than Final Fantasy, but like that was like kind of, I had played the game. Like, it's kind of a weird thing to say that. Fuck, like it was better than Dragonflight. It was better than Shadowlands. Ooh, maybe not. Shadowlands was pretty good on release, but I liked Lost Ark more, I think. Yeah, 100% better than Diablo 4. Classic? No, Classic was better. Classic's the greatest. Classic WoW is the best MMO that's ever been made. And in my opinion, I don't even think another game even comes close. I don't think it even comes close. Like, it's just the best by far. No, I'm not a RuneScape enjoyer. I don't really play it a lot. It's not that I don't like it either, but the combat's not really something I'm not interested in. So, like, if I don't see that or understand that, I can respect somebody that says that, like, you know, you're not really right about this. Like, RuneScape kind of does this. But overall, I do think that... I do think Classic WoW is the best game. Yeah, there's a video. Make sure to give it a like. Hopefully we get more of these. I love the Copium videos. Oh yeah, my Waifu Cup is finally coming out. It's been a while, but it's finally happening tomorrow. And, you know, this is pretty much exactly what you would have expected, right? Yeah. Yep. There we go. Even the little cup has ears. Purple equals win. Naturally. Of course.